Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy StumpD back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're diving into the treasure map versus Baccarat, Dice, and Mr. Tanaka for the film celebration over here on OPTC. And this treasure map is an absolute doozy. This is probably one of the hardest, if not the hardest treasure map that I've seen in a very long time. Now, I know we say that pretty much every time a new treasure map comes around, and look, content does get progressively harder, but this particular treasure map, it's a goddamn nightmare. With the release of Carina and Nami, doing two different specials means you have to bring a lot of extra stuff on your team. And if you're not summoning, and you're not going for these treasure map boosters, you're going to be in for a little bit of a rough time. Now, if you guys want some good gem profit, dropping to Grand Line and ranking quite well is actually a really good idea if you guys are in treasure map just for gems. If you're only in it for the gems, dropping to Grand Line can be worth your while. It makes your farming a lot easier. It makes team building less restrictive, and it can be a little bit difficult. Now, I do apologize. I am going to release my teams because, as you can probably tell, I'm not feeling that great. My throat is on fire, and I've been in bed most of the weekend. So, do apologize. There won't be like a buildable or accessible team video. I'm just going to be releasing what I'm going to be running. But look, I haven't done any summons. I don't have the treasure map boosters. We are basically just going off the post Gear 5 celebration. So, the new character is a Baccarat, Dice, and Mr. Tanaka. I haven't even looked at what they do, so let's take a quick look at what they actually do. They're a powerhouse shooter character. Very interesting classes. They're quick, and they reduce bind by 7 turns, heals 7,777, reduce all enemies' defense by 77%, and then doubles damage to defense down for 3 turns, which is kind of good. If you land 4 great strikes, then reduces defense by 77% for 1 turn, ignoring immunity to defense down and all. Okay, that's actually really good. They're a self-proccing conditional boost. They obviously work incredibly well under Tesero, the 6+ of Tesero, giving 2 classes there. Very interesting stuff. They have Hunger, Barrier Pen, and the Enrage ability. So they're a pretty good free-to-play unit. Do they actually have any support capabilities here? Okay, they go on Guild Tesero Carina. When inflicted with Bind or Despair, they reduce Bind and Despair. So they have a very, very good support. So a very, very good and unique free-to-play character. Definitely farm them up. And as you guys will see here, you can build up treasure map points so that we can get the Grand Tesoro ship. So 20,000 tickets, and you can pick up that ship. Definitely worth your time. I do think that ship is very, very good. And then with the new Raise Max that can be recruited from the Suga Fest, he has a very unique special. I believe Pappy put out a tweet. Shout out to that guy. If you guys want to check that out, link will be in the description as well. There's extra treasure boxes, and then the bonus map has alternate pens. Obviously, there is an intrusion, and there are requests from the Chop Men missions as well. If you guys scroll all the way down here, you can check all the boosted characters. You can sort by boosted lists, and obviously, with the release of Uta and Fuji, there is going to be some interesting stuff. So if you enjoy the video, belt like button, hit the subscribe button, do all that good stuff for me. Let me know if you guys need to hammer with any team replacements down below, but I will do my best to sort of cater to that, because like I said, this treasure map, I'll only really be releasing my particular teams. I'll release a video as well on the Intrusion of the 2 teams that I talk about as well, sort of showcasing that, because you can practice that over on Extra Island as well. So with that said, let's dive on in. Now, the first fight is against Spandem. Spandem turns into a Dex character, and the recommended characters are the lead performers from the last treasure map and treasure map Conjurer, funny enough. So pretty easy stuff this particular fight, because 2 very good recommended characters. Well, Conjurer not very good, but you guys know what I mean. On stage 1, everyone gets all the good stuff. There's 8 turns of Despair, which go down to 5 after Sockets on Battle 3. There's 4 turns of Defense Up, Delay Immunity, 4 turns of Resilience, and then you can only use 2 specials for 1 turn. So, big, easy character to use here is Kaido. I know lots of people went for Kaido. If you didn't get Kaido, just use a friend Kaido, and then you can easily just run the lead performers as your captain. Definitely doable that way. But if you bring lead performers and Conjurer, this fight is actually fairly simple. The only thing you really have to get around... actually, I believe Conjurer removes the Resilience, too, doesn't he? Conjurer removes Defense Up, and he also removes Resilience. So basically, with the combination of Conjurer and the lead performers, you can basically just get around everything. So you just want to build out the rest of the team with, like, driven powerhouse units. I just have a Roach Guy, Big One. I have Kaido here. Kaido's end of turn damage is going to be my wave clearer for stage 1 and 2 as well. But you can run, like, a Daifuku if you want it to be a little bit faster. Myself, I don't really care about points this time, because obviously I don't really care about speed all that much, because I actually need the points. And tapping with Kaido, it's really not that big of a deal. Moving on to the second fight, we come up against Raise Max himself. Raise Max also turns into a Dex character, and the recommended characters are the free-to-play Luffy, free-to-play Jinbei, free-to-play treasure map Ace, and the free-to-play treasure map Zoro. So these first 2 fights are actually very, very free-to-play friendly. However, it does get a little bit tricky after that. Strength, Psi, and Int characters get all the good stuff, and on stage 3, there are 6 turns of damage reduction, 3 turns of attack down, 1 turn of special reverse. Basically, every single orb will get turned into block slots, 4 turns of defense up, 4 turns of threshold, and normal attacks only. Once the enemy dies, he comes back with 1000 HP, he gives you increased damage taken, and 1 turn of damage null. So as soon as I read damage null, I thought of the Big Dog Bullet. Obviously, this film celebration, all of the film legends are boosted. 6+ Bullet with his level limit break can actually get around damage null. He's a very, very good character for this fight. Plus, he has access to the Bona Vista support, which will rotate block orbs. If you run 2 of them, you just put 1 on turn 1, 1 on the revive, and you're good to go. This particular Luffy right here is so good for this fight because he removes damage reduction and he gives you the cooldowns for your strength characters. He's phenomenal. However, he doesn't remove the threshold. If you guys are struggling with supports from this particular team, you can actually run the Fuku Juju guy, whatever the hell his name is. This guy here, he works exceptionally well for this fight because he actually removes attack down and threshold. Now, I haven't included him on my teams because I'm actually utilizing him a little bit later if I can't find Nami and Carina friend captains. But he's a fantastic character. Kanjuro is completely replaceable on this team. He's just a 1.35 times booster. And then I have the Zoro to wave clear turn 1 and turn 2. And then I have the support of Vivi on him to actually help with getting the threshold removal. But you don't have to use him as a wave clear if you don't have the Vivi support. He also removes threshold, so you can just sort of kill stage 1 and then use him to wave clear stage 2. And then you're pretty much good from there. The Hirogura support on Luffy is so damn valuable. Hopefully you picked it up from the treasure map shop. There's 2 turns of attack down and 2 turns of threshold. And then the Otoko support on Kid Law can also remove attack down. If you guys are struggling with these supports, remember Kanjuro and Kid Law are both completely replaceable. Zoro can remove threshold. You can use him twice on the final stage, so you don't need to use him for wave clearing. You can use him to remove the threshold. And then you can just replace either Kid Law or Kanjuro with anyone that just removes attack down. And there are plenty of units that actually do that. Ideally, you want the unit to be strength. But if you go into your search features, you have a look here, click on attack down, you have that free-to-play Jinbei who is a recommended character, you have Okiku, or you have that Fukumaga Jujugu guy. He can actually cover you for both if you guys have access to a lot of Carina and Nami friend captains. That's also a really, really good option. Moving on to the Carina fights, the third mini-boss. Carina actually turns into a quick unit, and the recommended characters are Tesero, Hyoguro, and Queen. We're not actually using any of these. Quick, Dex, and Strength get all the good stuff. On stage 3, there's 5 turns of damage reduction, 6 turns of defense up. Basically, every single orb will get turned into block orbs, I believe. Or, no, unfavorable orbs. There is an attack down if you're below 3.5 times chain. Normal attacks only. And then there's a slot barrier for one turn for rainbow orbs. Also, if you use a chain locking effect, it's reduced by 2 turns. So you basically want to bring someone that does 3 turns or higher. And the team that I put together looks a little bit like this. We are utilizing double Uta as our captains. Uta boosts quick, she boosts cerebral, she boosts shooters. She does really, really nice stuff there, which is always fun. She's basically going to be our captain. She gets all the cooldowns, and we can just bink her on turn 1. For wave clearing shenanigans, I am using the Shinobu. Make sure to use her first. She gives you end of turn damage. But look, if you really want to, just run Daifuku. Daifuku is another really good option. But the reason I'm running Shinobu is if you tap, that way you actually get the cooldowns from each turn. Now, Carrot and Shanks crew don't actually get cooldowns from their boosted list, but they do get 5 cooldowns from the start. With double Uta, Uta gives 1 turn of cooldown each. So that way you're getting 2 turns of cooldown from your captain, 2 turns from sockets, 1 turn from your ship, and then 5 turns from the actual event. Now, unfortunately, this means if you don't have Carrot Limit Break expanded, you are going to need to use a support on Carrot, so that way you can actually get the cooldowns. But what you can do, if you don't want to run Shinobu and just run another point booster, 1.35, or another wave clear that's faster like Daifuku, is you can use this Gordon. Gordon's going to give 2 turns of cooldowns to a selected character. You can then give that cooldown to Carrot, and then Carrot will have her cooldowns ready to go by the final stage. Once you do get Carrot's cooldowns, use Carrot on the final stage. She becomes your captain. That gets around the barrier. That gets around the defense up, provided you do have her at level 11 break 5. And then you can, the cooldowns will go to Shanks crew. You use the Shanks crew special. Shanks crew will give you base stats. He'll give you a chain lock. And thanks to Uta utilizing her special on turn 1, whenever you use that, you get the attack and all boost there. So this team works pretty nicely, but it does require Carrot level limit break 5. You can do some other stuff with defense up removers and stuff like that too. So like I said, Gordon's just basically replaceable here. Shinobi's just a wave clearer, and other than that, you should be good to go. Something like Hina could work exceptionally well for defense up removal, if you guys want to do something like that. But basically, like I said, Gordon here, he's completely replaceable. Moving on to the final mini-boss fight that's not really a mini-boss, we have Rob Lucci. And this particular fight is a big reason why I said at the start, if you move to Grand Line, I'm not going to hold it against you. This particular fight is an absolute headache. It does revolve around the Uta and Fuji Kizaru batch. Obviously, that batch recently came out and they had to do something with them, so they just decided to make this absolutely cancerous mini-boss fight. But this is what it does. Sight, Int, Quick Orbs get all of the good stuff on stage 1, and then you get a top left special reverse, bottom 3 row gets blow away, and there's a tandem orb barrier for 3 times. Yeah, that's a lot for turn 1. And then on turn 2, there's Despair, which you go down to 5 after sockets, 6 turns of special 1, 6 turns of attack down, and if when the enemy dies, he gets full recovered, to come back for stage 3, which gives you a captain swap to any of your crewmates, and remember, you can abuse that with the middle right slot. You get a chain multiplier attack down if you're below 2.5, there's 5 turns of damage reduction and 5 turns of threshold, as well as full immunity. So this fight is an absolute nightmare. And what I would recommend doing is actually fighting it on the minimap. So that way you don't have to worry about most of these shenanigans. However, I did put this particular team together that'll hopefully help you guys out. So it's led by Whitebeard. Whitebeard avoids the blowaway, and he is immune to the despair. This Whitebeard's definitely, his stocks are definitely going up lately. He's a very, very good character for recent content because of the Uta and the Fuji Kizaru batch. This guy is basically the two of them put into one. Removes despair, removes blowaway. He's a very, very nice character to have, especially for this particular fight. Sanji Judge, we're going to use their super swap, so that way we get the tandem orbs. That way we can get through the barrier on turn 1. And then we have Garp to get around the special bind on stage 2. With the support of Kobe, Chopper, and Jozu, we get around the attack down nicely. And then on the final stage, we can use Beppo and Jinbei to get around the damage reduction and the threshold. Funny enough, this whole team turned out to be Powerhouse. I didn't mean it to, it just fell into place that way. So I did actually put Jumanji in the middle right slot, so that way, if Jumanji swaps into Captain, you are going to get a full Powerhouse boost. However, if Jinbei becomes Captain, you're good. If Garp becomes Captain, you're good. And honestly, with this particular team, if Beppo becomes Captain, you're probably good too, because this whole team is buffing the entire team, and it should work quite nicely. Jinbei gives you Chain Boundary as well, so you don't even need to use the Whitebeard special. Obviously, because it's not a regular fight, you don't need to worry about wave clearers as well. And this particular team, it should do dividends. However, as I mentioned, I would highly recommend fighting it on the mid-map. And the mid-map fight that I've put together looks a little bit like this. We are using Gear 5 6-star because he does 2 million fixed damage. He is boosted, which works nicely. This this Rare Recruit Sanji makes us start with a full bot of Tandem Orbs. Then we can utilize Momo on turn 1 to just use his blowaway effect to hopefully kill moving forward. Now, the idea here is to not even worry about the Despair and just use the Nami and Carrot unit to get around the special bind. If you don't have Nami Carrot, you can use Otama. It's another really, really good option. But ideally, I want to get to the final stage and then just utilize the Luffy special, both Luffy specials if I need to actually just bink out the final stage. That's the plan. Whether or not it goes to plan is a different story. And if I do need Despair removal, I'm just going to basically chuck on a bunch of supports that looks like this. Because there's no bind early, I can basically take advantage of this sort of shenaniganry and not worry about it there. But basically, I'm going to try this on the mid-map. However, I am a big fan of this particular team, so I am going to try this first. You guys will see that in the playthrough video. But let me know what you guys are running for Lucci, because this fight is an absolute doozy. Moving on to the final boss against Tesero now. This is where we're actually using our Tesero as captains. So, the recommended characters are obviously Nami, Carina, and the 2 new rare recruits. Fighter, Free Spirit, and Slasher characters get all the good stuff. On stage 2, you cop a 91% HP cut. You get 5 turns of attack down, 2 turns of special reverse on your top row, 4 turns of special reverse on your middle row, normal attacks only, and threshold for 5 turns. On the final stage, you take 30,000 damage entering the stage. Very annoying. Basically, every single orb will be turned into block slots. There is 7 turns of special bind, 6 turns of paralysis, 6 turns of resilience, and a slot barrier for block slots for 1 turn. So very annoying stuff there. There's also immunity to everything except for delay. So the team I put together looks a little bit like this. I have tried to include a bunch of 1.35 boosters. And this particular team that you see on screen is catered to utilizing a Nami and Carina as a friend captain. So, what we want to do here is utilize Tesero on stage 2. Tesero is going to give us top row, bottom row orbs, as well as give us a chain lock. It's going to help us kill stage 2 nicely with the help of the Cavendish support, basically meaning that he hits like a truck. We can hit 3 greats, and then we can sort of just move on. This Dr. Indigo support is actually a special at level in Reg 5, is actually so good for this fight too now, because he gives you a full heal if you're below 10% HP. He gives you 3 turns of color affinity, and he also gives you 3 turns of damage reduction if your captain is driven. So he does all of that for our team, which means that we can get past the 91% HP cut, we can tank the 30k, and we're pretty much in a really good spot there. On the final stage, we are going to be utilizing the super swap of Whitebeard and Marco to get around the rest of the special bind, because Tesoro with one of every class, which this team actually has, we can get around another 5 turns. Tesoro also gets around the special reverse. He just works exceptionally well, provided you have one of every class, and that's what makes him so challenging to build for. However, this team actually does it, which works nicely. On the final stage, we have Luffy for our attack boost. We have we're going to be utilizing, I believe, Nami and Carina on stage 2, because I do want the quick variation to get around the attack down and the threshold. They also have 3 turns of that, which works quite nicely. And then to get around the paralysis and the special bind, like I said, we are using Whitebeard and Marco. Thanks to the Whitey base support, we get around the barrier. That works quite nicely as well. And then we have the support of Mihawk on Killer to get around the resilience. You can use the Momo support on Luffy. That's another option for end of turn damage. And then you can replace Killer with any slasher. Ideally, later down the line, that's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to replace Killer with Carrot and Wanda if I need more damage, because this team doesn't actually have a... what's it called? It doesn't have an orb booster. So eventually I'm going to replace the Killer unit with Carrot Wanda, so that way I have a slasher. And then I can use the Momo support on Luffy, because when you're an attack booster, Momo kicks in and gives you an end of turn damage. So that's what the team looks like if you guys have a... friend captain Carina and Nami available to you. However, if you guys are struggling to find Carina and Nami's, you probably have to put something like this together. This particular team uses the Fukura Juju that I was talking about and utilizes a friend captain gear 5. The way the team operates is you use Fukura Juju on stage 2 to get around the attack down and the threshold, and then you can utilize Iron to give yourself a big old heal. Ideally, that should be enough to tank what is coming. Oh, hang on, sorry. You need to use this Mistum support. That's my... oh, hang on. Yeah. No? Yeah. You need to use the Mistum support on Luffy, so that way you get a damage reduction effect with the special reverse, and then you can double special activate Iron, so that way you get 60% healing. That should be enough to tank the shot of 30k moving into the final stage. Because of Iron's healing abilities. However, this team does require the Mihawk support. And if you don't have the Mihawk support, it is going to be a little bit shaky. You could also replace Luffy with maybe something like Big Mom and utilize the Big Mom burn mechanic to get around resilience that way. But again, you're not going to have the damage reduction there, and it's going to be a little bit wonky. You could run a Big Mom friend captain, though. That's definitely an option for you. And just utilize her, again, her burn and her conditional. But this particular team is the other one that I was thinking of. If you guys, if I or you guys can't find a Nami and Carina friend captain, because Nami and Carina friend captains, they should be in abundance if you're an endgame player. But I do understand if you're like a mid game or moving into endgame, finding them can be quite challenging. Moving on to the final boss, basically the same. Sorry, the intrusion fight. Basically the same thing stands, right? If you can find a Nami Carina friend captain, this particular team will work very, very nicely. It has up to 8.26, I believe, points. With the bird, that'll actually be higher as well for the intrusion. So this particular team should work really, really nicely. And ideally, I'm going to try and find Carina and Nami friend captains every single time I am doing the intrusion. But basically, the intrusion goes a little bit like this. Free spirits, slashers, and fighters get all the good stuff. There's 6 turns of damage reduction on stage 2. You get 3 turns of a 1.1 orb boost, and there's 6 turns of special bind. Every single orb as well will get turned into Cyan int slots, and then there's normal attacks only. On stage 3, your top and bottom row will get super block slots. There's 6 turns of attack down, 6 turns of defense up, a 1 turn slot barrier for G slots, and if you use an attack boost, you lose all your beneficial effects. On defeat as well, there's 150,000 damage, so you do need to be able to tank that as well. So the team looks like this. With Nami and Carina as a friend captain, we actually have one of every class, which means that Tesero gets all his good stuff. Ideally, on stage 2, what you want to do here is use the super swap of Wipe It and Marco to remove the rest of the special binds. Then you can use the special of Tesero to get the 3-turn chain lock and get the orb block on your captains and your bottom rows. When you do that, Luffy will actually get a G orb because Nami and Carina make Psi orbs into G. And then you can use the super type of Tesero to actually make you do a little bit more damage against, against strength enemies, because this enemy does become strength. After you've done that, you want to use the Wipe In Marco special, so that way you get damage reduction, and then you can double activate Iron. Double activating Iron will give you 6 turns of damage reduction removal, and Iron is so essential here because Iron is a shooter and a slasher, so that's why the big reason that she's here over something like, maybe like Killer. On the final stage then, if you use the lead performers first, you'll actually give yourself an attack boost. The enemy will wipe away your positive effects, which means you lose that 1.1 orb boost, and then you can switch with Nami Carina, use the Nami Carina special to remove all the nasty effects. You get an orb boost with Carina, and then you can use Luffy to give yourself an attack boost. Once you've done that, you have G orbs on your Iron and your Luffy, so you can tap Iron with the Barrier Pen, and then you can hit with Luffy after that. And basically with this team, you will have base stats, you'll have an attack boost, you'll have orb boost, you'll have a chain lock, and you should be in a really, really good spot to actually kill. So if you can find Nami Carina friend captains, this team's actually going to work really nicely. There's no funky supports, there's a lot of points, but if you guys can't find Nami Carina friend captains, this particular team will actually work really well if you bring an Uta friend captain. The quick Uta is a really good option if you guys are struggling with friend captain options. Now, I chose Quick Uta because Quick Uta can actually give you an attack boost or an orb boost, but honestly, you could probably run a Gear 5. Gear 5 friend captain would work very nicely. I believe with the team that I showcase, I use Uta, but I'll probably add on another team with Gear 5. But ideally, this particular team... Oh, so Uta is a shooter. That's why I actually had to use Uta. Uta is a shooter character. She buffs Hina. She buffs Tesero. So that was the big reason why I was actually utilizing her. The way this team operates is you get the special bind removal with Tesero. You use the super swap of Wipe It and Marco. And then that way you use the Tesero special and you can basically just kill on stage 2. If you activate the super class before you use the Hina, the super type before you use Hina, on the previous turn, that way you can get base stats. So you can save that for the final stage. So that way you get the base stats after using Hina. If you use Hina special, Hina will give you an attack boost that then wipes away your positive effects, and then you can start utilizing your specials. Killer's here to remove the damage reduction. You can use the Wipe It and Marco special to tank the final shot. Make sure to use the super type of Tesero before using Wipe It and Marco so you get a better base stats. Wipe It and Marco with the Whitey base support removes the barrier. Then you can use Luffy for your attack boost. Use Uta for your orb boost. Activate the super... is it super type? Yeah, super class. Super class of Uta. And then that way you can give yourself an increased attack and orb boost. With that, Uta and Hina will be hitting really, really hard. And you're sort of just banking on that damage after that. But that's the Intrusion fight if you guys can't find Nami Carina friend captains. Like I said, this particular fight is an absolute doozy. And if you guys are looking for more gem investment, maybe dropping the ground line might be up in your best interest. But if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Let me know if you guys have any changes or if you guys need to hit some replacements in the comment section below. Hopefully, I'll be able to get to it or someone else will be able to help you out. But most importantly, like I said, enjoy the rest of your day. Wherever you guys are in this beautiful world, make sure to enjoy it. Best of luck in Treasure Map. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Let's...